Ready and racing.
Welcome to the Dogcast for Greyhound Racing SA. Visit grrsa.com.au.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Dogcast, brought to you by Greyhound Racing SA. I'm your host, Bretton Yates, and as always, joined by Greyhound Racing SA's racing manager, Sean Matheson. Matho, it's building to the crescendo. We're almost there. We've got the heats of the Adelaide Cup coming up on Thursday night.
Absolutely, yeah, really exciting, Yatesy. One of the best nights of racing for our whole year. Group 1 heats. We've got 4 of them on Thursday night. Quality and depth is fantastic. I mean, we've had a couple of great weeks of racing.
Yep.
The heats this Thursday night leading to the Group 1 final, really exciting.
Well, we'll look at all of those for the upcoming events on Thursday night. We'll also get stuck right into the review from last Thursday night. You touched on, we've had a couple of weeks of great racing. We already have a greyhound through to the final of the Adelaide Cup, so we'll touch on that match race series and also some other notable performances last Thursday night that could feed in quite well to this coming Thursday. So plenty to come on the Dogcast. Stick around.
The Week in Review.
Our Week in Review is brought to you by the Fresh Pet Food Co. They're proud suppliers of fresh pet food for our GAP SA Greyhounds, Matho, in the GAP prison programs.
Yep.
They're based right here in South Australia and pretty simple to find. Just visit their website, freshpetfoodco.com.au for more information. Righto, let's get stuck into the review, Matho.
Yep.
Last Thursday night, terrific night. Some fantastic racing. We'll get on to some of the other races, but the headline act, of course, was the match race series, which saw the golden ticket straight through to the final of the Adelaide Cup. It was the All-Stars versus the South Australians, and Scalacci won his way through. Yeah,
definitely, Yatesy. I mean, he was the third matchup. He was the strongly supported favourite for the series, and he didn't disappoint. He effectively repeated what he did 7 days earlier in the SA Derby.
Yep.
He let him up, ran brilliant time off the back, I think 17:31, just a tick outside sort of his record from the week before, and got home well into the straight, 30:04, got the job done as the fastest qualifier. There was a lot of intrigue around the series, around how it was all structured. He was the third matchup, and we'll get through the other matchup in a second. But he did what he did, didn't he? He ran up to what everyone expected, and he got the job done.
Oh, well, let's have a look. It was a terrific series, really. We go back to the first match race. This was Transponder for Jason Thompson, up against Could Be King for Ben Rawlings. On paper, it was panned as a pretty heavy favourite, Transponder, and it sort of turned out that way, the final margin being about 4.5 lengths in 30:26.
Yeah, I thought Transponder ran really well, was able to get to the front really quickly. Could Be King, we know, doesn't really have the speed, and that's sort of the way it played out. Transponder 30:26 out in front. That's a really good trial, effectively, for him leading into the heats this Thursday night. But yeah, probably went as expected. Could Be King, probably slightly disappointing on face value, 30:57, but they're not machines. They go from week to week. So he still ran well, 30:57. But, I mean, I thought they were the two highest rated dogs in the series. Thought Could Be King might have been a bit closer to Transponder. But definitely, as you mentioned, he had the edge on the locals.
We had a chat last week about these match race series, and we have seen historically they throw up the odd upset or two, and boy, did we have that in the second heat. Panama Pepper was the, I think it was $1.13, $1.15 favourite, somewhere there, and Fiorano around the $5.50 mark. But boy, what a run by Fiorano. It was quite an extraordinary effort. Like, Panama Pepper and Fiorano out together, and I'm not sure what happened on the first bend. He went really deep, Fiorano. I'm not sure if he copped a little bump or not, but he just sort of ran out, and I thought, well, that's the race. And when you're calling a race, Matho, you sort of try and call what you see, but you also sort of know the capability of the dogs, and you sort of know what probably could happen.
Yep.
And I didn't really think Fiorano could run past Panama Pepper down the back. I thought, 3 or 4 lengths in front, this is over.
Yep.
But boy, did Fiorano charge, and he dug in deep and got up pretty much last stride in 30:42.
Yeah, we really haven't seen that from Fiorano. I mean, Fiorano's normally up on speed, running the time and being hard to catch. And this time had to find a bit of adversity and came home really nicely in the home straight to run down Panama Pepper. Again, Panama Pepper had been trialling, but it was its first sort of racing event, effectively. So you think it'd still be improved by the run. Went really fast to the back straight as well. So plenty of high speed there with Panama Pepper, which I think is going to help in an Adelaide Cup heat. But yeah, turning for home, a bit like you, Yatesy, in the core, the old Panama Pepper's got this. But Fiorano just kept going and nailed Panama Pepper on the line. Tied the series up for All Stars versus SA, which was quite good. But yeah, Brenda Oakey, we've spoken about her on the show before. She's got her team going really well. But this dog in particular, I mean, another string to his bow. So really exciting for him going forward.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that was the key to it. We saw an extra dimension to him, the come from behind aspect, which is good for Brenda and her team to sort of keep pressing on. We had the third match race. This ended up being our winner. But as you touched on earlier, Matho, he couldn't have been more impressive, Scalacci. He jumped out, burnt her way down the back and was too good over the top of Finis Jewel, who sort of stuck to its guns pretty well. But I'm glad he got through because I had a chat to Talji before the meeting started, and he was a bit concerned about coming back again if he didn't get through. So I think the feeling was that if he didn't get the ticket through the match race series, we wouldn't have been seeing him in the heats next week, which would have been a real disappointment given what he's sort of done for the carnival so far. So tell me about your thoughts on Scalacci and his win in the match race.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, I know Talji had a tough decision to make whether he'd actually come back for the match race because he'd already been here, travelled 3 out of 4 weeks to get himself through the Derby series. He's such a young dog. So clearly he's mindful of that. But I suppose that the carrot, if you like, to come back 1 extra week, if you can run the time or replicate what you've already done, you put yourself, right at the top of the tree there, you'd think, and then have that 2-week break and you're already qualified for a Group 1.
Yep.
It would have been disappointing if he didn't run the time for him not to come back because he has, at the moment, been the absolute star of our carnival, hasn't he?
Yep.
He's gone from a nice dog leading into the Derby series to being an absolute talk of the town.
In the space of 3 weeks.
I know. It's amazing how it's gone for him.
Yeah.
And he's on the ride of his life, Talji, with Scalacci. And, I mean, really super looking forward to him coming back for the Group 1 series. But he's added just another dimension to our series, and he's waiting for everyone from Thursday night. So, I mean, full credit to him, and the dog's been set a task, and he's got himself into a Group 1 final, and he did run up to expectation, which with younger dogs they can vary a little bit, but just that speed, Yatesy, he's got through the early and middle section, just puts him out in front. It's going to be super hard to beat. Finis Jewel was a nice performance as well. She kept coming, which we know she will get that middle distance and further probably, but she kept coming and certainly for Lauren and Ryan, I mean, she's going to be nice going to the future as well.
We had Talji on the show last week, of course, Matho, and it was interesting to hear him talk about like this is his, first real top liner, and we asked him, do you think a bit differently? Do you get a bit more nervous? Do you change things around? And he was pretty set in his way that, no, keep it the same. And that mustn't be easy when you're not a novice trainer, but you're certainly not a 20-year veteran trainer, and to know how to get the balance between the performance of the dog. And I think a real credit to him that he was able to bite the bullet and keep it the same and not overthink and just do what's worked, and it certainly worked again.
I suppose, as you said, I mean, a lot of our more experienced professional trainers who've been in the industry for a long time, they can draw on past experience.
Yeah.
He hasn't had this experience before,
Yeah.
So it's all new to him, which is really exciting for him. But as you said, it's about keeping a level head around what you're doing because whatever he's doing, it's working, so keep doing it.
What about the final match race? I actually had the pleasure of meeting Kel Greeno earlier on in the night before the match race series. First time I've been able to meet him. Terrific guy.
He is.
And great to chat to about greyhounds. And gee, I tell you what, he was quietly confident about Big Energy. He was really worried about Scalacci, which is sort of how it turned out. But boy, I thought Big Energy couldn't have been more impressive. I really liked what I saw. And just speaking to Kel, I think there's something a bit more to come. So look out now, Thursday night,
Yeah, as you touched on, I mean, Kel Greeno has been a wonderful supporter of SA Greyhound racing over the journey. He's always brought his good dogs to South Australia, and we love having him here. And separate to that, he's one of the nicest people in racing. Jackie and Kel are terrific ambassadors for the sport. So it's always great to see him here in SA and bring his nice dogs, and Big Energy is definitely one of those. 30-13 Yatesy, I mean, he improved from his trial the week before, so expect probably a little bit more improvement going into the heats, but he was very impressive. He was good to the back and strong on the way home. For a moment there, I thought he might have had a chance at getting to the 30.04 of Scalacci, but he was probably 0.2 off
the back
off
section
the back.
was the problem, wasn't it? Yeah, I was thinking the same thing in the race. I thought probably a bridge too far from here, but I thought he'd go around that 30-20 mark is what I thought when he did that to the back, but he went a length quicker.
Yeah.
So I thought, wow, that's good. Like, really strong home. And had Dasher Blue chasing, who's one of our strongest chasers here as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's the case. He did the job. It wasn't an easy a pushover, if you like, for the All-Stars. To be fair, as South Australia got one of them.
Yep.
The other three sort of went the way as expected. But all the South Australian dogs, they ran around that 30-40, 30-50 mark, which, to be fair, is as good as they can go. And you know what? If you produce that in an Adelaide Cup heat, that'll get you close to winning your way through to a final. So the South Australians all went super, and terrific that they supported the series. And obviously, it was terrific as well. We got the All-Stars, and it was a really great promotable event last Thursday night.
Yeah, that was a terrific series, the match race series. So Scalacci has won his way through to the Adelaide Cup final Friday week. A couple of other performances I thought worth touching on, Matho. Firstly, we had a solo trial by Winburn Ruby on the night. This was quite an extraordinary trial to watch, and I thought, hang on, I actually went straight to the markets to try and find a price, but not even in the early markets at that point, Winburn Ruby, but I think that'll change now.
Most definitely, yeah. I mean, Winburn Ruby was nominated for the match race series. She was first up for 4 months, and she was a Group 2 Launceston Cup winner back in February, running 29.3, which is exceptional time at Launceston. But she just hadn't raced for that period of time, so she didn't get into the match race. But I know they were super keen to be here for the Adelaide Cup series, and they obviously got the trial on Thursday night. As you mentioned, 30-23, that would have put her third in the match race if she had got in. But the trial, that's very impressive. So, and she looked as if she'd been here. She'd had 25 starts at Angle Park. She jumped out nice. She railed nicely. And she does have 600 and 700 metre form. So she's going to improve from that. Yeah,
I really liked the trial. I thought, wow, look out. If there's something that's going to get over the top of those in front, perhaps this could be it. Look, a couple of other runners who we find in the heats of the Cup, which we might sort of get to when we get to the Cup, but I think it's worth sort of touching on what they actually did last week. Dolly Dutton, who we'd seen trial before and then under race conditions found a bit of trouble, and Kruger Lass bursting through late, just got over the top near the line.
Yeah, definitely. It franks the form of the race. Kruger Lass is on their way to the $1 million chase after winning it in Broken Hill. And was a super run, by the way, Kruger Lass. But yeah, Dolly Dutton, a bit of trouble. Is a dog that can race up on speed. She wasn't disappointing, I didn't think. I mean, she's been here a couple of weeks. She's going to keep improving for Adelaide Cup heat. She's drawn nicely in an Adelaide Cup heat. But yeah, I thought her run was respectable. I mean, the Oaks winner ran third, so it was a pretty strong race that we saw last Thursday night. So, I mean, the form there is pretty strong, I think.
What about a Fire? We saw it come out, get the job done, perhaps improves off that because was not well away early, but sort of had the luck go its way in that early part of the race. Didn't really, despite the poor start, get any bad inconveniencing going to the first bend. Got through and then was able to do what was required in the finish.
Yeah, I think that's right, Yates. I think a Fire's a classy greyhound with been racing against probably stronger company in Victoria and missed the kick, which I thought, oh no, in trouble here. But the dog did a really good job to win. But didn't win by much, but did what it had to do. So clearly the start's going to be the key for this dog in a Group 1 heat. So you'd hope that 7 days on they can get a Fire to come out a little bit better. But was a good run. And again, it's hard to win races. So to win, it's full credit to the dog.
What about Adhana Rico? What do we do with that run from Thursday night? Was sort of back and wide and never really into it. Do we put the pen through that run, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you think, Yates. Just a couple of runs we've seen in the flesh of Adhana Rico. Looks like a dog that wants the rail pretty badly.
Yeah.
And will produce its best. Now, we could be wrong just on what we've seen, but it sort of seemed that way on Thursday night last week. I'd be comfortable to put a line through it. We know the dog's a classy greyhound, but it needs to draw a bit closer or get out much, much faster. And so they're the sort of keys that the team will be working on.
Well, terrific stuff. That was our review of last Thursday night at Angle Park. And up next, we've got the preview. The Group 1 Adelaide Cup heats up next.
The preview.
Time now for the preview, which is brought to you by the 2023 Adelaide Cup. And get trackside Friday, the 6th of October, the Adelaide Cup. There's live music, kids' entertainment. It'll all be happening out there, Matho.
Yep.
Basically, grab a hospitality package if that's more you go as well. There's 3 great options that I've seen on the Greyhound Racing SA website. So, look, head to greyhoundracingsa.com.au. I know the tickets are selling fast, and I also know once people get through grand final week, Matho, they all go, what next? And it'll be this. So get in early because the rush will continue to happen. There are some tickets left and terrific stuff. We've got the Byron Bay Marquee, the West End Marquee. We've got Chase's Restaurant. So there's plenty of options or just turn up and come on the night.
Most definitely. And the point you make is a valid one, Yates. I mean, this week is grand final week. So there's a bit of a tension there with the footy as there always is. But once that finishes, there's a rush. So I said, book your tickets now, then you're set. Then no need to worry, and you won't be disappointed.
All right. Well, here we go. So 4 heats in all. So obviously we've got Scalacci through, Matho.
Yep.
So I'm assuming it's heat winners and then the 3 quickest seconds that will make their way to the final field?
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. So 1 spot's already taken with Scalacci, and then so we've got 7 spots available with 4 heats. Yep, the winners go through. The 3 fastest seconds get through as well.
All right, let's have a look at the first heat. It's race 5. The heats are all the legs of the quadrella, 5, 6, 7 and 8 on Thursday night. So, look, intriguing sort of race as we go through. We've seen a Fire and Adhana Rico, a couple of the interstaters here. Weblek Wolf, of course, for Jeff Britton was placed last run. And the local, Dasher Blue, along with Agent 99, Razzle, Darryl and Emron Boy off the inside draw, who I think is the big key to the race. What are your thoughts on the first heat?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, it's terrific that Brooke Ennis has brought Amron Boy back to South Australia. We last saw Amron Boy in South Australia for the Match Race Series 12 months ago.
Yep.
And ran respectably well, 30.27, I think it was what Amron Boy ran in the Match Race Series, but didn't come back for the Cup. Great to see Amron Boy back for this year's Group 1 Cup. Hasn't raced since the 10th of August.
Yeah, what do you make of that? It's a bit of a concern, isn't it?
It was scratched from the national final, so it was the National Sprint Championship. It was in because it was I think the wild card that got in, right? But then it was scratched from the final. So hasn't raced since August. Offsetting that is it's drawn box 1, and Amron Boy is a dog that produces its absolute best from an inside draw. It's a Group 1 winner, won the Harrison Dawson, and he's Group 1 placed. I mean, he's been such a consistent performer at Group 1 level for 18 months.
Yep.
So we're rapt to see him here. I think box 1 suits him, so I think that offsets him not racing. I'm sure Brooke and Jamie Ennis, they'll have the dog ready to go for a Group 1 series. I think in looking at the race, Amron Boy's going to get a little bit of cover. I think the likes of Agent 99 has got the speed in the race. So I think it probably crosses Amron Boy, and gives him a bit of cover early. I don't think there's much more speed other than if the greyhounds from out wide, as you mentioned, the likes of Weblek Wolf, who came through our Derby series, Adhana Rico and a Fire, if they can get out better, they can really put themselves in a nice position. But I just think that the race sets up for Amron Boy. The best of Amron Boy wins this really easily, I think. First up, I think you need to be a little bit hesitant. So we'll learn a lot more after the heat, I think. Is that the way sort of you were looking at it?
Yeah, look, I got him as the best bet of the night. And this is unusual for me because I generally like race fitness into my selections. But I've gone a bit different here purely because of what you've just spoken about, the race shape. I just see him either booting up fresh, remember, so he may just fire out a bit better than normal, but he may not as well. Agent 99, I think, gets over, and he just gets the lovely run in. Those that are out deeper, Dasher Blue, Razzle Darrell, they're not going to bother any of those early. And a Fire and Hana Rico, they've got to improve those early splits so much more to be within touch. Has he got the stamina at the end? I'm hoping he does. I went and had a look at his replay 2 ago at the Meadows where he drew one. And he was buffeted and he was booting and he charged through. So he just goes where angels fear to tread. So I got no problems with him booting up and really bustling past Agent 99 when he needs to. And I thought he'd be the one in the first heat. I thought the dangers were a Fire and at Hana Rico. And I thought Dasher Blue was worth chucking into a first 4. I mean, he hasn't put a foot wrong, really. No. Look, it reads 7th next to his name. That's in the match race series. You've got to remember he went 1 out with Scalacci, and Scalacci won the match race. So, look, I don't mind Dasher Blue to sort of maybe toss a bit of value in there.
I think he'll actually get quite a good run here, because if we think Agent 99 goes forward, Dasher Blue gets into a nice position, Amaron Boy wants to stay to the rail, and if those other dogs we've spoken about do miss it a little bit out wide, he's sitting 3rd or 4th early, probably, and we know his strength at the end. He could easily run into 2nd place here, or even win.
Yep. Okay, second heat, race 6. So Soda Seville in 1, Panama Pepper 2, Dashing Deb in 3, Launch Code 4, Aston Zeeble 5, Reality Infrared 6, Finished Jewel 7, Mapunga Smoky Box 8.
Well, I mean, the interstate dogs seem to have the dominance here, and they seem to have drawn quite well. We class, obviously, Panama Pepper as an interstate dog now in the care of Ben Rawlings, but it's drawn 2. You'd think that he'll show the speed he saw in the match race series. He should be able to lead this race. Launch Code is a Group 1 winner. Maturity, again, though, hasn't raced Yatesy since late August. But in winning the Group 1 Maturity back in July, did show enough speed to lead. So again, I think fresh, like what you're talking about, I think he might come out quite okay. There's not an awful lot of speed around him. Aston Z will probably give him a bit of room because he likes to sit a bit wide.
Yep.
Mapunga Smoky for the Britons have come back after winning that heat of the Derby so impressively and then running 3rd didn't lose any admirers, I didn't think, running 3rd. It was never on the track, really. And box 8, I think, suits. So I think Mapunga Smoky gets a nice run across. I could easily see Panama Pepper leaving, Mapunga Smoky sitting outside, and Launch Code, the best of Launch Code, probably right there and ready to strike. I just find it hard for any of the locals to probably get in. I mean, obviously, Finished Jewel's a dog that I like, but box 7 probably hasn't helped her chances. She would need to begin her absolute best. But I think the interstaters have the dominance here. What did you think?
Yeah, look, I assume Mapunga Smoky wasn't nominated either for the match race series. No. So I think this is a smart move by Jeff Britton to do it this way. That win was so good in the heat, and you can draw the parallels with Scalacci. I thought he saw in the final that, okay, maybe Scalacci's got the wood on us for the moment, but that doesn't mean we can't come back and win the war after we lost the battle. So I like the week in between to be able to, like we were talking about earlier, you need that bit of time with these younger dogs. So I'm really keen on him, Mapunga Smoky. I think he'll get out and be right there, and he sort of likes that bit of space. So I think he's hard to beat. I thought Launch Code was an interesting greyhound to sort of be wary of. He hasn't had a look, did you say, Sean?
Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah,
but
not officially anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd be surprised if they did, to be fair. But yeah, I'm not sure.
No, fair enough. And Panama Pepper, I think you're right as far as the pace is concerned. And you would think has got a bit more bottom end now after sort of having that run in the match race series. So I thought they were the top 3, and I tossed in Reality Infrared. Yep. I thought it might just get a nice run over and sort of be thereabouts and bounce back to some of its form of 2 or 3 ago. So I thought number 8 was clearly the one on top for me.
I mean, I think the box draw has worked out quite well for the main chances in this race. I full respect to Panama Pepper. If Panama Pepper had maybe a 2-length break off the back straight, that might be enough to get home. If those other stronger types, I think, are around Panama Pepper, it might end up being similar to the match race we saw the week before.
Do you want to run through the box draw for us, Matho, for Heat 3, which is race 7 on Thursday night, and last year's Cup winner finds its way here?
Absolutely. Fantastic to have the defending champion back in the series, Buzz Junkie, and has drawn box 2. Yep. So has got himself into a nice draw. So 1 is Dolly Dutton, 2 Buzz Junkie, 3 Navarino for Jason Thompson, 4 Fiorano, 6 Big Energy, there's a vacant box in 5, 7 Springvale Dave, and 8 Zoe Rose. Only a 7-dog field, but I mean, it looks like all the main chances have drawn inside Big Energy. Big Energy's drawn 6. But there looks to be some good speed here with Dolly Dutton off the red and Fiorano from the 4. How did you see it?
What do you think of Navarino, Matho? Can you give me a read on him? What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, so Navarino last start ran 3rd in the Warragul St. Ledger, which was a really good performance behind Professor Snitch. Has got good form, a lot of placings, if you like, and it's got some 595 metre form as well, so got the strength. So I think Jason Thompson's probably identified from his team the 538 angle part's going to suit this dog. I don't see him racing up on speed.
Yep.
I do see him coming off speed, but I think he's got the strength there. And Jason, I'm sure he's got plenty of dogs to choose from, and he's picked out Navarino as the second dog with transponder.
Yeah.
So I'd be fully respecting this dog. He's got a nice draw in 3. And again, I wouldn't be put off by a lot of placings. That's been in some really good form. So, really good form races. So full respect to that. I don't see him leading. I do see the likes of Dolly Dutton and Fiorano being the speed, and Buzz Junkie and Fiorano just sort of slotting in behind. With Buzz Junkie, we saw 12 months ago, Yatesy, what a wonderful performance it was to get the Group 1 victory. Has only won 3 races since, but has been very injury prone for the last 12 months, but did return to form 2 starts ago, was second in a heat of the $1 Million Chase at Maitland, and then ran 5th in the final without much luck. So he's going okay. I'd still respect him because he's Group 1, we're on the track.
Yeah, he likes it here. 3 starts for 3 wins, including that Adelaide Cup. Look, I've gone Big Energy. I just feel there's going to be some natural improvement. I got that feel from Kel. There's a bit of quiet confidence about him, and if he's going to be competitive in the final, then I think he wins this particular heat quite nicely. Dolly Dutton, I thought, was the obvious danger, and Fiorano, I thought, could really pull a run. I thought Navarino was the other one to toss in for the first 4.
With Big Energy, where would you like to see him racing?
Look, I'm not 1,000,000% sure as to, what his absolute early capabilities are. But, he went 520. So, around there, 521 it was. Okay, so that's not terrible. That's going to have him right up there and sort of slotting. I thought 4th or so going to the first bend. I mean, I thought Dolly Dutton, Fiorano, Buzz Junkie sort of might be in front of him is what I was thinking. So I don't think he's going to have any worries, obviously, with Zoe Rose. Look, Springvale Dave, he's not generally known for early speed, and he's got a vacant box underneath. So I just thought he'd get a lovely run, trouble-free, and we saw the strength. We saw that match race speed home.
He'll clearly be the favourite for this heat, and as you say, he gets his chance. I think he should have opportunity to go forward early without any interference.
So you tipping him?
Yeah, I think you got to have him on top. Yep. I do expect Dolly Dutton to run an improved race from an inside draw. She's 4 from 4 from an inside draw. Yep. So I expect her to improve. So she looks the danger for mine. Fiorano, again, you can't take anything away from Fiorano. If Fiorano was able to cross Dolly Dutton, then Fiorano almost looks the Quinella with Big Energy.
All right, race 8, heat 4 of the Adelaide Cup, final leg of the quadrella. So Could Be King in 1, Aston Arena 2, Springvale Rex in 3, Zipping Mahalia 4, Departed Box 5, Crackerjack Bull in 6, and then we get to Transponder in 7 and Windburn Ruby in box number 8. What a really intriguing heat this is, the final heat of the Cup Series.
Yeah, I mean, the way it's worked out, it's going to be really interesting coming to this final heat with potentially maybe 1 spot, maybe 2.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because times are going to be so crucial. So you want, if you're angling to get through, you want a trouble-free race and produce your best time. That'll give you the best opportunity. Yep. And I just don't know if that's going to happen here with some of the chances. So what do you think? Take me through it.
Well, it's funny. Box draws, we know box draws matter in greyhound racing, absolutely. And perhaps had Transponder or Windburn Ruby drawn 1 or 2, you might be talking this differently. But they've both drawn 7 and 8. I actually think 7 will suit Transponder, to be fair. Yep. I think He showed enough speed, and I think he's okay with a wider draw. Winburn Ruby drawn outside of him it worries me a little bit, but she did come out really good in the trial. So I'm thinking for their chances, they both come across together, and if they do, they will be extremely hard to hold out.
When you dig a bit deeper into her wide box form, Matho, like she's had 11 runs from 6 and out, and she's won 6 of them. So. Yeah. It's not a massive handicap for her just by looking through her form without having a really in-depth look at her replays. And look, that box draw scenario could be a little bit sort of cover the shadows of some other issues that may be, given that some of it might be over 600 and 700 metre racing. So it's a bit different than the sprint journeys. Yeah. But if you just look at it as an overall picture, she seems to win from anywhere. And wide hasn't been historically terrible for her.
No. And I think if you look at some of the other dogs in the race, and we can touch on like Could Be King, Springvale Rex, to Zipping Mahalia, and you got Crackerjack Bull, who's first up, first look, and doesn't seem as if it's not a lid pinner, I should say. It's more of a very strong run home type. And full respect, it ran behind Kelsey Bale in the Warrnambool Cup and has beaten Photo Man. We saw Photo Man here last year. So Crackerjack Bull for us doesn't have the early speed first look. So you got to think the 2 out wide are going to get a nice run across. Departed, who's been here before, will probably show some speed and might give them a nice card across. So I think they'll get themselves into the race. And really, it's a bit of a toss-up who I think is probably going to win. Probably whoever gets to the rail first, I think, is going to have on top. Probably leaning a little bit to Transponder for mine to maybe get there first. But it's going to be an exciting crescendo to all of our 4 heats. Who did you have on top?
I've gone Winburn Ruby purely because I was just so taken to the eye by its trial, and it just stirred something in me that said, "Oh, hang on, keep an eye on this one." So I'm probably a bit thrown with that trial, but when you measure it up time wise against what Transponder did in the match race, there's nothing between them. What they did on the actual night, so. I'm not sure why I feel that way about Winburn Ruby. I think first look is a very dangerous thing at Angle Park, and to do that sort of time at your first look is another thing. So I feel there could be a bit of improvement there. Every trainer I speak to, by the way, they talk about the quieter lure here at Angle Park, which we've touched on before. But Scalacci got his head around it pretty quick. And, box 8, Winburn Ruby might just be able to come out a fraction better as well. So I've gone 8 from 7. I think they're the 2 key players. And I've thrown in Could Be King to wind out the trifecta. And Departed, I thought your point is good around the early part of the race, because if you go back to the Scalacci race, that was the Derby final, wasn't it?
The Derby final.
Yeah, where
Derby final running around 4.
Yeah, but he booted hard going to the first turn. Now, Scalacci was away and gone, but in comparison to the rest of them, he was able to boot up and hold a spot. So that could be the same in the final. So, wow. Have you got a thought on the overall series at this stage?
I mean, clearly...
we've got one through, so that helps,
doesn't it?
We have
got one through. We know who's through.
Yeah.
I mean, box draw is going to matter, but I mean, I think with Scalacci, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get an early split from him. He's probably going to lead, unless something comes out brilliantly in the heats and shows electric early. I think Scalacci leads. The only difference will be a lot of these dogs who possibly get through to the final, and if they've drawn correctly for them, they're going to be right. They're going to be a lot closer than what they've been. So I think the race is Scalacci's there for the taking, because he's got the early speed. We know, Yates, if you can lead in a Group 1 final, you're a long way to going to winning it.
Yep.
But I just think he's going to find some pressure at some point in the race. He might just blow him away. I think Scalacci for mine at the moment, but it's going to all play out with how these dogs perform in the heats, who shows the speed, who shows the strength, and how impressive some of them are. I mean, if a Big Energy or an Amaron Boy, if we've touched on who I think are big players, if they come out and run a 30-0 something and very impressive, I'm going to go, well, okay, it doesn't really matter where Scalacci draws. They're going to be right there. So, and I think there's a lot to play out. But I mean, I think the interstaters have got the edge here, and I mean, I'm fingers crossed we can get some South Australians through to the final. And normally that's what happens, Yatesy. There's a little bit of bad luck, I suppose, happens through the heats, and a bit of good luck, and hopefully that happens to some of the South Aussies. But for mine, Scalacci at the moment, still a lot to play out.
Look, I think you've summed it up so well. And I think Luke, our man who runs all this, he was saying that we were trying to locate some fixed odds markets leading up. We couldn't quite get the full list, but Scalacci really firmed up, obviously, after the match race series, and that's understandable because you know it's going to start at least. So that's one of the key points. But I agree with everything you just said. I think it's perfectly summed up. We're going to know more, obviously, on Thursday night. For me at the moment, I'm with Scalacci, but I could easily turn after seeing a big energy like you say, or a Winburn Ruby or a transponder, or these sort of greyhounds come out and go that 30-0 something. I think absolutely you could have a different view. And
we'll obviously do the box draw on Thursday night as well.
Now that's going to be live streamed, I'm told.
We'll live stream the box draw. So the last heat is race 8. So probably after race 9, we'll look to stream that. What we find is a lot of the interstaters who might have qualified for the final, they're already on the road on the way home. So they can probably log on and see the box draw happen live. Anyone who's at the venue obviously will get to see it live. And then that gives us our final field, and then we've got plenty of promotion leading up to Friday week.
Well, it's big, no doubt about it. It's going to be a massive night on Thursday night at Angle Park. Matho, we had what you'd call a 100% strike rate last week with our best bets.
Right?
It's foreign territory. We haven't been here before.
Doesn't happen
3
often.
from 3. Of course, I think we both were on the same one, and you found another one. And did I find another one too? Did I? We had a
I think Texas here.
It
was heavily supported.
Smashed, wasn't it? Actually, I've got a photo from Tex. He sent it through. I don't know if I've got it. He was on track, and he sent this photo through after his dog won. I might be able to just bring it up to the camera. Okay. Luke might have it online. Do you, Luke? Oh, terrific! He's just whispering in my ear there. So it was a great photo. It's there of Texan with his he's pointing to his ear. So I really enjoyed that. Thanks, Tex. But. Look, what a great result that was for him, and it probably didn't pan out the way I expected that race. By the way, I didn't expect him to be coming from that far back to finish over the top. I thought he might be booting through and be right there early, but
they all knew something though. They were all there, weren't they?
Yeah,
all the boys,
they were.
Crows boys.
Yeah, did I see Lockie Murphy down there as well?
There,
So look, great win. All right, but more importantly, that's history. Yes. So we forget about that. We need the present and future. So what are we looking at for Thursday night?
Okay, not surprising. It's a super hard card of racing. There's plenty of good value winners, but my best of the night, Yates, is going to be in one of the cup heats. It's going to be race 6, number 8, Mapunga Smoky for Jeff Britton. I just feel that Derby form. Drawn box 8. I think he's going to get a nice run across. He's going to be very strong at the end, really hard to hold out.
What sort of price do you think he will be?
Well,
is he black figures?
Oh, yeah, no, I think he's black figures.
Yeah.
I mean, having launch code in the race, you have to respect launch code from the 5, and you have to respect Panama Pepper, some improvement as the main players. Mm-hmm. But so I definitely think, I don't even know he'll start favourite. I reckon, but I reckon he won't get out too much. I reckon 280. Maybe $283. I don't think I'd let him get too far. I definitely think Launch Code and Mapunga Smoky will be favourites. Panama Pep will be on the 3rd line. So, but yeah, that'd be my best.
That's it.
I'm going to go the 1. Okay. Just stick with the 1.
Well, I'm going to go through the Adelaide Cup heats as well. Amron Boy. Yep. I'm going to label that one. I just think it will all pan out nicely for him, and we'll be holding our breath toward the end, the last 50, 80 metres. Just hope he's got that little bit of stamina left in the body. Yep. And look, I thought we might be able to pinch one early. So this is a best bet with a little asterisk. So we're taking it on a bit of a punt type basis, not as certain as maybe we are with some of the other best bets.
Okay.
But I just thought Rock and Rhino might get an opportunity here. Last time he drew box 2, he came out and he won. It was over the short course. He's a bigger sort of dog that night. He's dropped a bit of weight, so he was down to 34.5 kilos at his last run. I'm happy to put a line through that. Got buffeted around. But the start before that, there was heavy money for him. So He was really well backed in that race where he ran third from an inside draw, and I like to follow those greyhounds where the money flow has come back to a similar type of race. I thought maybe Quest for Extra would be favourite in the race, so I thought we'd be getting a decent price. I mean, Boots will probably have a bit of support as well. So race 1, number 2 is a smaller little investment, Matho, but I thought it might be one we could get away with early and have a bit of a play for the rest of the night.
That would be great for the followers of the Dogcast. Race 1, get the money nice early, then they can invest through the Cup heats. That's going to be fantastic.
Well, great stuff. Well done, and be a big night on Thursday night at Angle Park.